My name is Meredith Collins, and I'm 38 years old. I never thought I'd have a story like this to tell. It all started on a warm Tuesday in July. I work as a wildlife biologist, and that day I was out in the field studying a group of endangered Florida panthers. I was deep in the Everglades, surrounded by sawgrass and cypress trees. The air was thick with humidity, and the constant buzz of insects filled my ears. I'd been tracking a female panther and her cubs for hours, carefully making notes on their behavior and movements. As the sun started to set, I decided to head back to my campsite. That's when things went wrong. In my hurry to get back before dark, I wasn't paying close attention to where I was stepping. Suddenly, my foot sank into a deep mud hole. I tried to pull it out, but it was stuck tight. The more I struggled, the deeper I sank. Panic set in as I realized I was in real trouble. I reached for my satellite phone to call for help, but in my flailing, it slipped from my hand and disappeared into the murky water. The mud was up to my waist now, and I was still sinking. I remembered reading about quicksand and how you're supposed to stay calm and try to spread your weight. But this wasn't quicksand. It was a deep, mucky sinkhole, and nothing I did seemed to help. As the mud reached my chest, I started to cry. I thought about my husband, Tom, and how he would feel when I didn't come home. I thought about all the things I still wanted to do in life. The mud was at my neck now. I took one last deep breath before it covered my face. Everything went dark and quiet. I felt a moment of intense fear, and then nothing. But that wasn't the end. Suddenly, I felt like I was floating. At first, everything was dark, but then a tiny pinprick of light appeared. It got bigger and bigger, like I was moving towards it, or maybe it was moving towards me, I'm not sure. As I got closer to the light, I started to feel warm and peaceful. All the fear and panic from the sinkhole was gone. I wasn't scared anymore. I felt safe, like someone was watching over me. Suddenly, I was out of the tunnel. I looked down and saw my body, half buried in the mud. A search and rescue team was there trying to pull me out. It was so weird to see myself like that. I wanted to tell them I was okay, but I couldn't. They couldn't see or hear me. Then I felt a presence next to me. I turned and saw a figure made of light. It was so bright, but it didn't hurt my eyes to look at it. Somehow I knew it was an angel. It didn't speak, but I could understand what it was thinking. The angel showed me that it was time to go. I didn't want to leave my family, but I felt at peace. I knew everything would be okay. We started to move up, away from the Everglades. The earth got smaller and smaller below us. As we went higher, I saw other souls too. Some were going up like me. Others were going back down to earth. The angel explained that those going back weren't ready yet. Their time hadn't come. We kept going up until we reached a place that was more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen. There were colors I'd never seen before. The music was amazing. It was like all the best songs I'd ever heard, but a million times better. I saw my grandma there. She looked young and healthy, not like when she died. She hugged me and told me how proud she was of me. I also saw my old dog, Buddy. He was running around, happy and full of energy. It made me so happy to see them. Then the angel took me to meet Jesus. I can't really describe what he looked like. It was like looking at pure love. He knew everything about me, all the good things I'd done, and all the bad things too. But he didn't judge me. He just loved me. Jesus showed me my life, like a movie. I saw all the times I'd helped people and how those good deeds had spread to others, but I also saw the times I'd hurt people, even when I didn't mean to. It made me want to do better. Then Jesus showed me something else. He showed me what was going to happen on Earth. I saw a big war starting. It was World War III. It was scary to watch. I saw big cities being destroyed. People were scared and running away from their homes. There were soldiers fighting in many countries. I asked Jesus why this was happening. He explained that people had forgotten how to love each other. They were more interested in power and money than in taking care of each other. But he also showed me that even in the darkest times, there were people helping each other. There was still hope. I saw brave people risking their lives to save others. I saw people sharing food and water with strangers. I saw people praying together, even though they were from different religions. It was like little lights in the darkness. May ersitio. Jesus told me that this war would be a wake-up call for humanity. It would be terrible, but it would also bring people together in the end. He said that after the war, people would start to rebuild. They would create a world with more love and less hate. I wanted to stay in that beautiful place with Jesus, my grandma, and Buddy. But Jesus told me it wasn't my time yet. He said I had to go back and tell people what I'd seen. I had to spread hope and love. I didn't want to leave, but I understood why I had to go back. Jesus hugged me, and it felt like being wrapped in pure love. Then everything started to fade. The next thing I knew, I was back in my body. I was in a hospital bed and everything hurt. My husband Tom was there, holding my hand. He had tears in his eyes. When I opened my eyes, he started crying even more, but this time they were happy tears. The doctors said it was a miracle I was alive. They said I had been underwater for several minutes before the rescue team pulled me out. They couldn't explain how I had survived without brain damage. It took me a long time to recover from the accident. I had pneumonia from the water in my lungs, and my body was weak from the ordeal. But the hardest part was dealing with what I had seen. I knew a terrible war was coming, but I also knew there was hope. I started telling people about what I'd seen. Some people believed me, others thought I was crazy, but I kept talking about it anyway. I told people to be kind to each other, to love their neighbors. I said we needed to work together to prevent the war I'd seen. As the years went by, I saw some of the things from my vision start to happen. Countries that used to be friends started fighting. There were more and more news stories about countries building up their armies. It was scary, but I remembered what Jesus had shown me. There was still hope. I started a group in my town. We talked about peace and how to be kind to each other. We did things to help people who needed it. We collected food for hungry families. We visited lonely old people. We cleaned up parks and planted trees. Our group got bigger and bigger. Other towns started doing the same thing. It was like the little lights of hope I'd seen in my vision. I don't know if we can stop the war I saw, but I know we can make a difference. Every act of kindness, every person who chooses love over hate is like a light in the darkness. And if enough of us shine our lights, maybe we can change the future. I still think about that beautiful place I saw, and sometimes I miss it. But I'm glad I got to come back. I have an important job to do here. We all do. We need to take care of each other and our world. So that's my story. I died, and I saw World War III. But more importantly, I saw that love is stronger than hate. I saw that there's always hope, even in the darkest times. And I learned that each of us has the power to make a difference. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that if we work together, if we choose love and kindness, we can build a better world. That's what I'm trying to do every day. And I hope that by sharing my story, I can inspire others to do the same. Remember, every small act of love counts. A smile to a stranger, helping a neighbor, forgiving someone who hurt you. These things might seem small, but they can change the world. That's what Jesus showed me, and that's what I believe with all my heart. So let's be those lights in the darkness. Let's love each other, help each other, and take care of our world. Together we can make a difference. Together we can change the future. And maybe, just maybe, we can create the kind of world that I saw in heaven. A world full of love, peace, and hope. My experience in the Everglades taught me how precious and fragile life is. It showed me that we're all connected, to each other and to nature. Now, when I go back to my work as a wildlife biologist, I see it differently. I'm not just protecting animals, I'm protecting a part of God's creation. I'm helping to keep the world in balance. And that's what we all need to do. We need to find balance between nations, between people, between humans and nature. It's not easy, but it's worth fighting for. Because in the end, that's what will save us from the war I saw. That's what will build the peaceful world we all want to live in. So whenever you feel small or powerless, remember my story. Remember that every kind word, every loving action, every moment of forgiveness is a step towards peace. You have the power to make a difference. We all do. And together we can change the world.